For centuries, knowledge has been hidden in plain sight across the sands of time. Whispers of lost civilizations, cryptic symbols, and forbidden histories have been erased or concealed. What if the truth was never lost, but hidden? Welcome to Eye of Ancient Mysteries, where the past speaks and the future listens. Sit back, open your mind, and prepare to uncover the untold secrets of our world. Let the journey begin now. Egyptian Mysteries, the fascinating myths of an ancient civilization. The creation legend and the contests of Horus and Set. Egyptian mysteries have attracted the interest of thousands of people for centuries. Treasure hunters, archaeologists, geologists, tourists, and even thieves have shown great fascination with ancient Egypt and its riches. Almost every valuable artifact or site in Egyptian land is bound to an intriguing, terrifying, and highly mysterious legend. Stories created to frighten people. But does each one contain at least a grain of truth? We may never know, and perhaps some things truly are better left secret. But which are the most interesting, well-known, and retold Egyptian myths and legends? Discover them in the lines below. The Book of the Living and the Book of the Dead. As the saying goes, there is nothing wrong or harmful in reading books. But is that really true? These are believed to be ancient Egyptian texts containing important spells from before the time of the pharaohs. It is said that the Book of the Living takes life, while the Book of the Dead gives life. These two books are considered highly dangerous, as interference with the balance of nature never goes without fatal consequences. The myth of creation, Adam, Ra, and the Ennead. In this myth, the world is created from the primordial waters of chaos. Adam, the sun god, emerges from the waters and brings forth the first gods, known as the Ennead, by his divine will. Adam is often depicted as a self-created deity, symbolizing the very act of creation. This myth reflects the Egyptian belief in the cyclical nature of creation, death, and rebirth. Osiris, Isis, and Set. This myth centers on the sibling gods Osiris, Isis, and Set. Osiris becomes ruler of Egypt, but his jealous brother Set murders him out of rivalry. Osiris is dismembered, and Isis, his wife and sister, gathers the pieces of his body and briefly resurrects him. Afterward, Osiris becomes associated with the afterlife and the concept of resurrection, while Set embodies chaos and disorder. This myth also introduces the idea of judgment in the afterlife, where the heart of the deceased is weighed against the feather of Maat, the goddess of truth. The contests of Horus and Set. This myth focuses on the ongoing conflict between Horus, the son of Osiris and Isis, and Set. Horus seeks to reclaim his father's throne, and the struggle between the two deities takes many forms, including legal disputes and battles. The myth is a tale of the struggle between order and chaos, and of the rightful inheritance of kingship. It also reflects the importance of justice and divine intervention in Egyptian society. The god Ra, the sun god, is depicted as journeying across the sky in a boat by day and through the underworld by night. In the evening, Ra transforms into a ram-headed deity known as Ra-Adam in order to navigate the dangers of the underworld. This journey symbolizes the cycle of the sun and its daily rising and setting. The myth emphasizes the vital life, giving energy of the sun for the ancient Egyptians, as well as the concept of transformation and renewal. The Pyramid of Khufu, although there is no specific myth centered entirely on the building of the Great Pyramid of Giza, certain legends and theories have arisen over time about its construction and purpose. One of the most enduring myths is the idea that slaves built the pyramid. However, this belief has been largely debunked by modern archaeological and historical research. The prevailing theory among historians and Egyptologists is that the building of the Great Pyramid was a monumental effort involving a large workforce of skilled laborers, not slaves. These workers were likely organized into teams and received food, shelter, and payment for their labor. The exact methods used to move the massive stone blocks and construct the pyramid are still the subject of study and speculation, as the ancient Egyptians left little direct evidence of their building techniques. Another myth or misconception is the idea that the pyramid was built by Jewish slaves during the time of the biblical figure Moses. This notion gained popularity through sources such as the Book of Exodus in the Bible and popular culture, but there is no solid historical or archaeological evidence to support it. The construction of the Great Pyramid predates by centuries the biblical events associated with Moses. In reality, the Great Pyramid of Giza was built during the reign of Pharaoh Khufu, also known as Cheops, who ruled during the 4th dynasty of Egypt's Old Kingdom. It is believed to have been constructed over several decades and is part of a larger complex that includes smaller pyramids, temples, and other structures. The pyramid's purpose was most likely to serve as a monumental tomb for the pharaoh, and as a symbol of his divine authority and power. The legend of the god Anubis is one of the most famous and iconic deities of Egyptian mythology, often depicted as a jackal-headed god associated with mummification, death, and the afterlife. While there is no single central myth about Anubis, various stories and aspects of his role appear in Egyptian mythology. One of his key functions was overseeing the process of mummification and guiding souls into the afterlife. He was believed to be the guardian of the necropolis, the city of the dead, and responsible for embalming and preserving the body of the deceased. Anubis was also thought to weigh the heart of the departed against the feather of Ma'at, goddess of truth and justice, during the judgment of the dead. If the heart was found lighter than the feather, the soul could proceed into the afterlife. A common version of the myth presents Anubis as the child of Osiris and Nephthys, or, in some accounts, of Osiris and Isis. Nephthys, the sister of Isis, disguised herself as Isis to conceive Anubis, since Osiris was her sister's husband. The death of Osiris. In some versions of the Osiris myth, Anubis plays a role in the story of Osiris' death and resurrection. After Osiris is killed by his brother Set, Anubis aids in Osiris' mummification and helps him in his transition to the afterlife. Protector of the dead, Anubis' role as protector of the dead and guardian of cemeteries made him a prominent figure in Egyptian religious practice. Priests conducting rituals for the deceased often invoked Anubis, blessing for a safe journey to the beyond. Symbolism. The jackal, a scavenger often seen around tombs and cemeteries, was closely associated with death and the afterlife in ancient Egypt. Thus, Anubis' jackal-headed appearance symbolized his connection with these realms.